the myth of complete decolonization. This is a legal and historical reporter. I'm Dr. Samuel Ikome, Sako. In a recent television appearance, Professor Carlson Anyangwe and Dr. Simon Munzo sparred over the historical question of whether the decolonization of the southern Cameroons was complete on October 1st, 1961, the day Britain withdrew from the territory. Dr. Anyangwe insisted that the act of Britain leaving the southern Cameroons marked full decolonization. The professor concurred, made this statement to concur the position of Dr. Munzo in principle, but he attributed subsequent problems to the British management of the decolonization process without detailing the deeper legal breaches that occurred. This framing, whether intentional or not, dangerously distorts the record. It risks aligning with the narrative of regime apologists who insist that Cameroon is one and indivisible, while ignoring the fact that the process that unfolded was not lawful decolonization. It was an unconsented transfer of sovereignty from Britain to the Republic of Cameroon, followed by annexation and occupation. Decolonization. I know it is more than a flag ceremony. It's more than a flag ceremony. International law, particularly the United Nations Charter, the Trusteeship Agreement, and related General Assembly resolutions do not define decolonization as the mere departure of the administering authority. It is a process requiring, number one, self-determination through a fair and transparent choice that includes all legitimate status options, including independence. Number two, constitutional arrangements reflecting the will of the people of the trust territory. Number three, negotiations between the equals, not unilateral imposition by a successor state. In the case of the southern Cameroons, none of these conditions were fully met. The plebiscite without independence on February the 11th, 1966, an unsupervised plebiscite gave the southern Cameroon voters only two options: join Nigeria or join the Republic of Cameroon. The option of full sovereignty, the essence of true independence, was absent. The exclusion violated the spirit of the UN Resolution 1514, Alinea 15, on the granting of independence to colonial countries and people. Without the third option of independence, the plebiscite was a consultation to transfer sovereignty either to Nigeria or French Cameroon. You can only be independent by separating. You cannot be independent by joining. The Federal Constitution of Cameroon was also imposed before the trusteeship ended and this constitution was imposed and promulgated on September the 1st, 1961. September the 1st, 1961. 1 full month before the trusteeship over the southern Cameroons officially ended. The Republic of Cameroon promulgated that federal constitution. Southern Cameroon's leaders did not participate as equal partners in drafting that constitution, nor was it submitted to a referendum in the southern Cameroons. This act preempted the termination of trusteeship, violating the principle that constitutional arrangements must be the result of genuine negotiations between the people of the trust territory and the proposed partner state. Also, a false comparative perspective between the southern Cameroons, Togoland, and Tanganyika. The southern Cameroon state stands in sharp contrast to other trust territories. British Togoland in 1956 held a plebiscite offering the choice of continuing trusteeship or integrating with the Gold Coast. After the Gold Coast's independence as Ghana, Togoland became part of the new state by prior transparent consent of all the authorities and the people of Togoland. Tanganyika in 1961 moved from self-government to full independence in a clear, linear process without being subsumed by another state before independence. The southern Cameroons, by contrast, already had self-government, a functioning parliamentary democracy, and its own head of government, arguably more advanced than French Cameroun at the time, yet was denied the independence option and absorbed by another state without consent. Annexation, not independence by joining. That's what it was. The so-called independence by joining formula, often cited to justify the outcome, was not standard UN practice. Where joining occurred elsewhere, it followed an act of independence or was accompanied by constitutional guarantees negotiated in good faith. In the Southern Cameroon's case, what happened was a direct transfer of sovereignty from Britain to Cameroon. This was annexation under the cover of UN procedure, not lawful decolonization. The danger of sanitizing the truth, and this I say to all of us nationalists, when respected nationalist figures such as Professor Nwana Kuah sit alongside well-known regime apologists or sellouts like Dr. Munzo and fail to press the legal and historical truth, it risks legitimizing a false narrative, saying merely that the British messed us up, like Professor Nwana Kuah said, without naming the breaches of law is an abdication of responsibility to the movement and the people of the Southern Cameroons. The problem today is that the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia remains under occupation. Its legal personality as a self-governing territory under international law has never been extinguished. But in practice, its autonomy, institutions, and cultural rights have been dismantled by Yaoundé's unitary state. The consequences are evident: marginalization, systemic oppression, and armed conflict. This is the way forward. We must revive the Banjul Declaration. The African Commission on Humans and People's Rights of 2009 recognized the need for dialogue. This means a valid entry point, and that remains a valid entry point. Genuine negotiations are needed. No imposed solutions. Any settlement must be negotiated between legitimate representatives of the Southern Cameroons and the Republic of Cameroon on an equal pedestal. International advocacy is needed. We have to press for the recognition of the UN supervised process, that this UN process in the first place failed to meet the trusteeship obligations, and that the people's right to self-determination remains a valid one. Conflict resolution. Without genuine dialogue, the conflict will persist. The war will continue. But with genuine dialogue and negotiation, a political settlement becomes possible. And here's my conclusion. The departure of the British on the 1st of October 1961 was not the end of colonization in Southern Cameroon. It was the beginning of a new form of domination. Pretending otherwise is not only intellectually dishonest, it perpetuates the very injustice that has led us to the current conflict. True decolonization is yet to be achieved, and the struggle continues, not for nostalgia's sake, but because justice demands it. Thank you for listening.
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast. You have just been watching a classic from the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, outlining the historicity and the legality of the Ambazonian cause. I thought that was very important to set the foundation of tonight's conversation. But we have to stay a little bit focused as to why you're here this evening. Because of the importance of this program, we're going to take it gradually. I would like to start by apologizing for the delay. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia was faced with an unprecedented situation, which has just been rectified. So we're going to have a long night. I'm calling on all those who are watching us via our various social media platforms to continue to share and to invite somebody. We will take some reactions from the comment section. So every information that you like to have in this conversation, please drop it on the comment section as the discussion with the president begins. I'm going to play a video that is one of the reasons why we're here this evening. And after that video, we will begin the conversation with the president's teaching.
Symbolic, significant, crucial and strategic are some of the words used by Cameroonians in and out of the country to describe the arrest of Cho Ayaba Lucas. Barrister Salai Emmanuel, a leading legal voice in the fight against separatist leaders and their activities in the Anglophone regions, sees his arrest as significant.
Cho Ayaba Lucas's arrest marks a significant victory in the fight against terrorism and separatist violence in the conflict regions of Cameroon.
Significant because of the wave of the man Ayaba Cho Lucas in the conflict.
Cho Ayaba Lucas is the most dangerous separatist terrorist leader.
Now, the video clip you just watched is a clear case of media manipulation. And that's how it's been from the propagandist machinery of French Cameroon and its proxies into mainstream media narrative for a very long time. Now, the recent arrest of ADF members Benedict Nwana Kuah and Pascal Kikishy has intensified media's onslaught against the Ambazonian liberation movement. The U.S. Department of Justice has further fueled the headlines with sensational captions that emphasizes a squad portrayal of the events. It was reported on the 5th of September this year by the Department of Justice that 2 Minnesota men arrested for funding and directing kidnappings, bombings, and killings overseas. A federal grand jury in Minnesota had returned an 8-count indictment charging naturalized U.S. citizen, that is Benedict Nwana and Pascal Kikishy. Now, according to some of the reports and headlines from mainstream, we are told that the USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, assisted in the investigation of these 2 Minnesota men. And what were their crimes? Funding and directing kidnappings, bombings, and killing overseas. Now, on the 10th of September, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service highlighted this more even on their website and their platforms. Now, we're going to see how different media platforms took this information, manipulated it to sabotage the entire struggle. Diverse media platforms, especially Cameroon media and their proxies. Now, their headlines would go thus: defendants indicted for directing kidnappings, bombings, and killings overseas. The real reason of the Ambazonian movement was carefully, calculatively eliminated in all the headlines. Now, on October 16 last year, BBC reported of Cho Ayaba and captioned, "Arrest of separatist leader puts spotlight on Cameroon's Anglophone crisis." The Norwegian police had arrested a Cameroonian separatist leader, Lucas Cho Ayaba, on charges of incitement of crimes against humanity. That's a serious caption. You realize prior to this time, the Cameroon government had tried against every reasonable odds to portray Mr. Cho Ayaba as the true leader of the Ambazonian movement because they were aware of the crimes against humanity that he will be causing. Now, even Human Rights Watch on September 26th last year reported that the 52-year-old Cho Ayaba is said to be playing a key role in Cameroon's Anglophone crisis, where over 6,000 people have been killed. First of all, Human Rights Watch report stipulating 6,000 people is a gross underestimation of the fact. Now, you would agree with me that these headlines and captions concerns raise important questions regarding the legality, the historicity, and the current movement that we are all fighting. Now, this issue is what defines the focus of tonight's discussion with the president. Lots of Ambazonians, out of fear, are shying away of becoming involved. Now, the question would be, who is next? Is it President Sako? What is the difference between what the government of Ambazonia is currently doing and what Cho Ayaba's group is doing? What is the difference between all those who have been arrested? Is the Ambazonian Liberation Movement a terrorist movement? These are questions I don't believe any other person in Ambazonia today might be competent enough to provide answers that will help to encourage Ambazonians that are wondering, should we just give up and surrender to Cameroun, or should we keep fighting? And if we keep fighting, how many more Ambazonians who portray themselves as leaders will be arrested? At this moment, I'll be bringing in the president, who is seated now and ready to take some questions. Mr. President, thank you for joining us. We are happy to have you in spite of the challenges. You decided to connect so we can have this conversation. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Paddy. Thank you for having me. Thank you, fellow Ambazonians, for staying glued to your screens. And I'm happy we can start.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President. The reason you're here tonight is because of the arrest of certain individuals who projected, I think that's the main reason. These individuals projected themselves as leaders in Ambazonia. And therefore, it is quite concerning that at any moment, or their actions could frustrate or jeopardize whatever Ambazonians are doing. They have been arrested, and the headlines have it that Ambazonian terrorists have been arrested. First and foremost, I'd like you to comment on that, and then to move further to tell us what is the difference between your involvement and the involvement of your government in this movement and whatever these individuals are doing.
Yes, Paddy, thank you. Fellow Ambazonians, before I came to this seat, I worked with President Ayub. He just left America, had a tour here, and returned to Nigeria before he was arrested. He was not even interrogated at the airport. So he wasn't by any means mentioned in any document as a criminal. Neither the organization that and the structures that existed at that time were aware. And then I took over from him. We have continued in the same spirit of a civil resistance that has the right to defend itself if facing imminent bodily harm. That's the right. The right of self-defense is enshrined in any democratic constitution of modern times. So when Tibonaj was interviewed, when he was still the Secretary of State, was it 2017 under Secretary, or 2018? They asked him that same question. They said, these people are committing terrorism, and they are in the United States. They are ordering acts of criminalities to be carried out here in Cameroun, to put it. So what do you say about that? And he said, the United States law will determine who commits a crime. It's not the law of Cameroun that will tell the United States what constitutes a crime and what does not constitute a crime. The other thing I want us to remember is that all of us who have been leaders and who are leaders, we lead structures which are legal entities. None of these legal entities have been proscribed by the law of any country. If you know one, you can tell me. If you're in Germany, you're in US, you're in UK, if there is any one of our nationalist institutions or structures that we put in place that have been proscribed or labeled as a criminal organization, because that's the starting point. That is how laws are written. Organizations are first of all proscribed or listed as terrorist organizations. Then those who are affiliated to those organizations or carry out activities in those organizations become known as criminals or lawbreakers. You don't break a law where there's no law. So now that no one single structure or organization has been labeled as a criminal organization anywhere in the world, except what the propagandists are saying in Yaoundé. It means that, going back with the wisdom of the diplomat, Ambassador Thibonach, it is when the law in the country, the law of the country where you are, when it is deemed to be broken, or there are sufficient reasons to believe that the law is being broken by you or by an organization. So in this case, countries have been dealing with individual actions. It is mere propaganda for La Republique to take advantage of whatever happens. Where we live, there are laws. There are laws in the United States. There are laws in Canada. There are laws in UK and in everywhere you are. If you break the laws of that place, you are deemed to have broken some laws. If they have probable cause to believe that you break some laws, they can take you for investigation, and you are innocent until proven guilty. But the propagandists will not wait for that and will never want to reason like that. He will use the information for his own advantage. So, these individuals, right or wrong, have been arrested, investigated, indicted, and based on the information they have, they believe that crimes have been committed. Well, the law is not. The prosecutors are not judges. They have to make the determination that a crime has been committed, and then they make their case and take it to court and defend it before a competent judge, who will make that this determination that a crime has been committed. So, but in the case of our comrades, who yesterday, when I joined this struggle, when we started this escalation, I called them comrades. But sometimes one has to live longer to know who is a comrade and who was just a companion of convenience. These comrades are not just alleged to have committed crimes or violated the laws of the countries that they are. This is not the case. It's not a case of alleging that you are breaking the law of the United States or breaking the law of Norway or breaking the law of Germany. These are most of the reasons why they have been indicted are for things that they owned, they claimed, and they took responsibility for those actions. So it's a confessional crime. When you have confessed of committing a crime, what is the burden? What burden do I have again to prove that you committed it or not? The only thing the court has to do is to see whether those things have happened really constitute crimes or not. But what you have confessed, you have confessed. They have to see whether what you confess constitutes a crime, and if it does, what's the punishment? Because these are acts that people committed, whether they gave the orders or they not give the orders, they own those actions. They took responsibility for those actions. Or have we forgotten? A bomb goes off in in Boya. Civilians are killed. The spokesperson of that group of people comes out and says they committed it. They are the ones who have done it. This is a warning to the people. The Prince of Kugo's head is cut off. He's pinned on a pole. The head of that organization, Cho, comes out and said, we did it. Said, this is going to be an example, and that every other chief and every other in Ambazonia should be on notice. You take responsibility. The delegate who was arrested, and you come out and you take responsibility that you have arrested that delegate, that we have him, and then suddenly the delegate dies. Don't you think that you have to explain where the delegate is that you came out and say you arrested? They go to the market in Guzan and take two civilians and shoot them, and then come on air and say, we did it. That's an example, that's a sign, and that is a warning. Yeah. So who is accusing? Nobody. If you do that in any country and the law says you cannot be doing that kind of thing anywhere in the world, it is not the cause they are fighting. If the laws in the countries that we are against the cause, they will prescribe every structure that is existing anywhere that is responsible for organizing and promoting this agenda. They will. That's the starting point. If they are against the cause, that's what they will do, and say stop. As some countries are now prescribing certain Islamic organizations, just putting a blanket ban on them, or certain organizations that are promoting certain agenda, just prescribe them because they are against the agenda, not individual actions. But when people commit individual acts of criminality, the only thing I pray is that they are innocent. It's a false accusation. Because I know some who are locked up who are innocent. For that one, I want the law to apply so that they are released. But when people commit crimes or acts of criminality are committed, and people come out and beat their chests in broad daylight that they committed this act and that they are doing it as part of their warning to the people and so on, that is either stupidity or sabotage. And I cannot blame the enemy for weaponizing whatever information, for spinning whatever information in order to achieve their goal. And when they are comfortable to call Cho Ayaba the leading figure in the struggle, leader, and it's almost impossible that they call my name on their podium. Let us see their calculation. Their calculation is this: the enemy will only promote the person who promotes their agenda. The person who promotes their strategy, who is good for their strategy, that's the one they promote. Yeah. Because what's their strategy? Their strategy is to demarcate this struggle. Their strategy is to redefine this struggle, not as a political cause, but as an act of organized criminality, so that the war will turn against it. People will not have the sympathy that we have. The truth will be buried and forgotten. They will say, okay, there is a cause quite right there. This bunch of people here are criminals. You can't be working with them. They are kidnappers, they are killers, they are murderers, they are this. That's all they do. They are extortioners, they are this. They are taking people's money. Is that even if there is a political cause, are those the type of people you want to deal with? That is the reasoning. So they promote the person who is committing acts of criminality and who is taking ownership, claiming ownership and responsibility for these actions. and projecting that person as the leader, as the face of this so-called struggle, so that in your mind you will say, okay, are these the people you want you advocating for? Are these the people you want us to sit down and have a civil conversation with? These are all criminals. That is the narrative, and they will promote the face that will suit that narrative. So I'm calling on all Ambazonians. You don't have to be worried.
And before we move further, I think that is the pinnacle of this discussion. Cameroon's strategic approach to redefine the struggle and paint us as a terrorist movement. This program is educational, so I'd like to ask some precise questions that I would like you to elaborate on, so we can educate the people, we can inform the international community and even Ambazonians at the home front the stance of your government, you as the legitimate leader of this movement. Where do you draw the line between acts of terrorism or in response of a repression from Cameroon and self-defense that is recognized under international law as an act of human rights? Now, we understand that these individuals have been indicted for inciting crimes against humanity. That's very critical in international law. Where do we draw the line vis-a-vis our struggle based on what we do to have our people defend themselves against the colonial administration? Where do we draw the line between self-defense and acts of inciting crimes against humanity?
In a state of war, every act of war is legitimate. In a state of war, every act of war. What's the act of war? You make sure that you fight those who are fighting you. You can defend against those who are fighting you. You don't fight, you don't attack the innocent, you don't attack the civilians, you don't attack the women and the children and the vulnerable and those who cannot defend themselves, and you call that an act of war. No. War is an encounter between two armed people who are fighting for a cause. So, unless a civilian puts himself in a position that is working for the enemy forces, and therefore he makes himself a military or paramilitary, and makes himself a target and the adversary. But otherwise, in a state of war, an act of war is military to military. Military to military, and whatever represents them, whatever is helping them to come to kill you, to destroy you, whatever you have to defend yourself against. So that should be clearly understood. To go after children, to go after missionaries, to go after civilians, to go after any individual and kill them and go out there and say you are doing this so that they can learn a lesson. You do that on camera, and you come out and you make an official statement saying that to the press, claiming responsibility for it. That is called organized criminality. Those are crimes against humanity. Those are war crimes. Those are war crimes. Rape, extortion, and killing of innocent people, and so on. All those are crimes that we make sure that in this government we don't condone it, we don't promote it, and we are not, because we have a cause. Our cause is our stolen state that we have restored and we are defending. That is recognized by the United Nations and by all the Security Council members. Our case is rooted in international law. So that cause is bigger than us going around looking for children, killing them, slaughtering them, and burning down schools and burning down, killing people and roasting them like Atanganji is doing. So those are acts of criminality. And the way we came up as a government is this. This is why we are different. And people who are fighting the government, they don't even know why they don't know what we are up to. They don't even know what we are fighting. Once upon a time, there was a government. That government was led. The last one that was elected was John Gufoncha, Dr. John Gufoncha. He had a government. When he went to Fumban, he went there as the head of the Southern Cameroon's government and of the other representatives that formed part of that Southern Cameroon delegation. He was the head of government. Recognized. So when the United Nations said that we have, after our plebiscite, we decided that we want to join with the Southern with the Cameroon Republic and not Nigeria. They were not contemplating an absorption. We're not going to be absorbed by another state. It was a partnership state. It was a partnership arrangement. So the Southern Cameroon is a partner state with the Republic of Cameroon. I'm not the one who says so. Those who want to rewrite history should go back to the United Nations and see the resolutions. Even the resolutions that clearly define how these two shall become one. Read it again. Even in today's English, it clearly states that they shall come together in a federation of two states of equal status. That means partnership. That's a partnership arrangement. It's not one absorbing the other. So, in a partnership arrangement, if you decided to annex the other party and swallow him completely, and we want to make a statement, we want to fight for the restoration, what is the first thing that we need to do? We need to restore that which was illegally annexed and dissolved. The two partners started this. Now one partner has swallowed the other one. What do? So we started by restoring the government of Foncha that was brutally annexed, run over, dissolved, and absorbed. We restored it. So that's who we are. We are the restored government of the Southern Cameroons in exile. We represent everybody, even those who don't want to hear us. Yes, because we cannot say that we are restoring a state. We cannot say that we have been annexed. Everybody agrees. These people have absorbed us. Everybody agrees. The partnership arrangement has been dissolved. Everybody agrees. Then when we say we are restoring that which was dissolved, everybody agrees. And when we say it is called the government, say no, it's not the government. What was it? What was it that was dissolved, absorbed, annexed, absorbed, and dissolved? What? Because you restore what was there before. So what was there? So what was there? It was this government. So that's what we have restored. And now, everybody who is fighting on the ground, both civilians and those who are fighting for their survival and defending themselves, you know what our relationship with them, we don't own them. We don't own anybody. We don't own, this government does not own, the government does not own people. They don't own the civilians who obey ghost town. They don't own those who fight on the bushes, trying to defend themselves, their properties, and their families to stay alive. We don't own them. And their relationship with us is a social contract. It's one that we can call one of allegiance. People pay allegiance.
Mr. President, you've just brought in an important point that I want to come in there, because it has a lot to do with Cameroon's onslaught on the media right now, presenting a campaign that first of all will bring fright within the diasporic community, the Ambazonian diasporic community, and the home front. I'd like you, Mr. President, to talk to us today. What is the connection between the home front and the diasporic front? Your government, that is the pilot structures that you've put in place, and the defense or military structures that are the home front. Because a clear explanation of this, I understand that stakeholders, international stakeholders, are currently watching this program. The people at the home front are watching this program. And after all the noise is made, what we say is primordial in terms of our advocacy and the internationalization of the struggle. So this is quite remarkable. What is the legal connection between the diasporic front and the home front of this current liberation movement?
We are not a government that one day went to the streets and to the homes and recruited a bunch of people, went and trained them, and then armed them and said, go and fight. You are called soldiers. We are not that kind of government. When we get to Boya, we will do that. Right now, we have people who have said, enough is enough, like we have said it in the diaspora. There are people on the ground who have said, enough is enough. I will not be alive and I see you come to my home, murder my father, rape my sister, beat my mother up, and I survive, and I let you come back again. They decided to fight to make sure that they will not die on their knees. They will die fighting. That be the case, because freedom is a free gift of God and for everybody. They are ready to fight for their freedom, for their sovereignty, for their right to life. So these people they are doing the right thing. They are doing the right thing. So anybody who wants to take away the life of another person expects that person to defend himself. If you expect that person to defend himself, it is his God-given right to defend himself. You don't have a right to take away his life. That's what we do. Otherwise, what the people are towards us, they pay us allegiance. Those who are doing whatever they are doing, defending themselves or organizing themselves to resist these infiltrators, these occupiers, these killers of our people, these murderers and these genociders, everything they are doing, the only relationship we have, and every government has with the people, is not ownership, it's allegiance. It's allegiance. That's why when people come and say, beware of those people who come and say, I own this one, I own this one, I own this one, I own this one. In a people struggle, you own? Yeah, you just know that you are dealing with a mercenary. You are dealing with somebody with a personal agenda, a warlord. We are not warlords. We are the hope of the people. And we carry that banner for everyone. And anyone who is doing the right thing and pays allegiance to his government that represents him. We are here because we give the struggle a face and a voice. Because we will represent the people and the good cause that they're fighting for. And we have shown beyond reasonable doubt that we can represent them without an iota of corruption. We can represent them without sacrificing their desires, their demands on the table for any personal gain. That's why we are here. Our relationship is social. As long as we earn their trust to represent them, they pay allegiance to us as their government that represents the state that has been restored. You cannot say the state has been restored but it has no government. That is, if I'm one of those La Republic people, I will laugh at you to scorn, because you just contradicted yourself. It means, who are you? Then what is the cause? What's the cause? What's the cause you are fighting for? What's the cause? Okay, you want an appointment? Or no wonder some people go and join CPDM for some appointments. And then they rush and come back. When they don't make the appointment, they come back. They say they want to join Ambazonian. So our relationship, but unfortunately, there are some people who don't understand that. They thought that somehow they can take advantage and own the struggle like some enterprise. They will own it like it is their property. It is their own. How? They went around, started a process of registering their organizations here, where they identify themselves as a corporate body, then take those organizations down there and plant them and give those people uniforms. I say, wear the uniform of my organization.
Yeah.
Now you are telling people that you did not train. People you may not even have met physically since you were born. You don't even know them. You have not vetted them. You don't know who they are. Because they were rushing for ownership. This government I have never tried my anything to be as an owner of anything on anybody. No. We are just the voice and the face. We earn their endorsement, the endorsement of the people. And that's what we get, with not ownership, because they believe that because we are doing the right thing, they pay allegiance to us, and so we have that's the leverage we have. We can talk to them, we advise them on international law, on things like this. So even all this, when I go, some people said that like the lockdown. I know you're going to come to that probably. Some people called me and they said, Mr. President, there has been a lockdown announced. Can we just go and also announce it so that the government should just be, should be, because it's like the thing is working, so let us just announce it so it will be that the government will also endorse it. You know, in this struggle, those people who are seeking for ownership, they are always seeking for relevance. Yeah. Those people whose quest for this in this struggle is ownership. They do anything for relevance, because you must be seen to be this so that you can continue to keep under control what you own. You have to have nothing to show about. It's not a contest of anything. I make sure that what is to be done is right, and when I add my voice to it, when this government adds its voice to it, it becomes the signature. Let me tell you, everybody can say anything on social media because they have a ring. They have a what they call it,
a ring light.
A ring light, and they have a phone and this thing. They can say anything. Guess what? If something happens the next day or that announcement goes wild, who will call them to ask them? See all those people who make the post. Who has ever received a call to say, can I understand what is going on? The people, will they call them to ask? Will any government call them? Will they sit in any office, in any instance, at any level, and people bring that conversation that, can you explain to me what is going on? No. Will any journalist run to them and say, we are trying to gather information, want to know, and these are powerful leaders of opinion around the world. Will they call them and say, tell us? No. They have done with their ring light. They have said everything. Their text message, they have already made their audio, they have gone. Nobody, they are not answerable to anybody. They are not answerable to Ambazonian. They are not answerable to to the international community. They are not answerable to any journalist, any government, nobody. But we in this government, I cannot afford to throw words around. Whatever I say, I must make sure that I can say it anywhere and I can give a reasonable reason for why the government took that position. Not because of those people who just yield to pressure are people who are looking for something. We are not looking for something. The only thing we are looking for is what the people are looking for, their freedom. And so what we have is allegiance. And when one thing with allegiance is that you always listen to those who pay allegiance to you. Because if you don't listen to them, you want to do what you think is right, going to make you look big and great, then the people will just simply pull away their allegiance. And then you discover that you are not a leader. How can you be a leader without the led? So that's why many have remained with the title, but they have nobody to lead. Because they forgot that this is people only pay allegiance to leadership, especially at this government, in a structure that people started this thing on their own. They started defending themselves on their own. No, you did not train them, you did not equip them, you did not give them anything. They started fighting. Now they discover that your causes align and you are a voice that can speak for them and that can represent them. They pay allegiance to you. Now you come with ownership mentality, ownership mindset. And then they pull away their allegiance. You discover that you are a leader with nobody. We are government. We are not struggling for ownership. We are not. We don't. If so, sometimes we will do some work and people will come and say we don't do anything. Other people did. I don't even care. I don't even mention those kind of things. Those people are joking because they are playing those games because somehow they will go around and collect some $20 and collect it and then make their own little enterprise out of it. That they are looking for ownership. We are not looking for ownership. I can tell you that the only time I will call a lockdown is when it makes sense. It makes sense because it makes sense to me. It makes sense to the government. It makes sense to the people that we are calling it for. It makes sense to the international community if I will offer my explanation. It makes sense anywhere that I am called up to. That's when it will
Mr. President, you've said two things. Yes. You've just said two things that begs, that has, I would say, it fraught some kind of complexity when we're talking about legality. You've spoken about allegiance, and you've also mentioned about your support or explanation to back any movement that has to do with your rational thinking. Now, I took out time to read the case or the indictment that has been filed against these individuals from Cho Ayaba to Benedict and to Pascal. And there's something that I picked in some of the platforms which I like to read for you to consider as you respond to this. Now, the question of whether a U.S. citizen or a resident should participate by any shape or form to foreign conflicts. I understand that you are legally, not just legally resident, you are a United States citizen and also an Ambazonian by origin. Now, they said for that to happen in foreign conflict, it touches upon broader theme in the United States foreign policy, including neutrality, human rights, and interventionism. The United States has historically grappled with balancing its strategic interests with its commitment to promoting democracy and human rights abroad. This is quite complex. I know for the past 2-3 years, your government has been arguing the involvement of the United States in Ukraine and in other parts of the world, and their probable disinclination in Amazonia. So this is an argument that I think is important when you're talking about allegiance and the participation of the government in exile at the home front. Now, the Neutrality Act of the 1930s, for example, reflected a desire to avoid entanglement in foreign conflicts, while subsequent policies have embraced a more international approach in certain circumstances. The decision to provide support to individuals in Ambazonia, in the southern Cameroons, must be viewed through the lens of this competing consideration. And this is where I'm bringing this question to you, Mr. President. I decided to bring these words the way they are because these are legal arguments that will require a lot of diligence for us to navigate our cause and explain it in a way that can help even the people that will be looking at this and feeling discouraged to understand the levels at which they can participate and the consequences of their participation. Please talk to us.
So what is the question?
The question is, what is the legality in our participation considering this law of the United States? That the United States prohibits...
So, you see, it is the United States will prosecute anyone. There are two levels of prosecution. There are some of the issues. Well, first of all, when it comes to the issues like this one, like foreign involvement, it's political, and then it is legal. It becomes legal when the judiciary gets involved. So before the judiciary can change their laws concerning any matter, the political must go ahead to redefine the cause, the particular cause. What do I mean? Like in the days of South Africa, for the judiciary to be able to interpret the law in a way that members of the ANC should be called terrorists, the political wing, the executive, or the Congress had to declare an ANC a terrorist organization. They are the lawmakers, right? So when they designated ANC a terrorist organization, now the judiciary now can interpret that law to the fullest and enforce that law on whoever. So it's both a political, then it can also be a judicial thing. The way there is no political dissemination, the judiciary stays the course on its own jurisprudence. That's why many people who have been accused or indicted go to court, and the court said, wait, you have not committed a crime. Because the court will interpret the existing law, not the future law. They will interpret the existing law and the jurisprudence in that area and make a determination. So as far as we are concerned right now, there can be some political strings that are pulled around here and there for certain people to be arrested. It could be. I'm not saying there is. I don't think so. But even if that were the case, it is not the politicians that enforce the law. It is the judiciary. In a country where the judiciary is free and independent, they will interpret the law that exists, not the law that is hoped for, not the future law, not the intention. So if there is any intention to prosecute a particular group of people, the political leadership will first of all make sure that they appropriately designate those people as terrorists. They proscribe all their activities as acts of criminality. And then, when a person is found doing that, the judiciary now can make a law. They could at least, there should be the law goes first before prosecution. it is a political determination for America to feel too concerned with in a particular conflict on one side or the other. It's a political determination. That's not a judicial thing. It's not a judicial thing. There are people who have gone left here, they have gone to Ukraine and they are fighting. It's a political determination. The law of neutrality and so whatever you call it, the political are making their determination. But if somebody has a problem now out of that arrangement and that matter gets to court, the court will not adjudicate that matter based on political determination. They will follow existing law. They will follow existing law. And so the problem is that who will bring the matter up? Most of the time, it's the political wing that executive that will bring the matter and forward it to the executive, so that to the judiciary, so they can look into it, because they cannot make a decision. So we are in a situation where the law. That's why we are making sure that we abide by the law. And no matter what political wave it blows against us to toss us left or right, we are protected by the law, because the law is not interpreted by politicians, it's interpreted by lawyers. Those are the ones who interpret law. Now, by the laws of the United States, we have the freedom. It is a cardinal provision of the American Constitution, of the Second Amendment, self-defense. So they go very far, they go very deep in it, to say that you have a right to this right, and even to defend that right. Yes. And also, you should even defend a third party who is in a situation of imminent danger and cannot defend himself, and you have the capacity to defend that person. You have to. If you don't defend that person, and the circumstances are revealed, you can be sued for, you can be taken for complicity. If you are in a position to help that child, you have the capacity to help that individual to stop that, and you did not stop it. So you are not just, it's not the right just for you, that you can. That's why they keep on preaching that the good guy with a gun is the answer for the bad guy with a gun. Not that the good guy is even involved in the shooting. It's not involved. He just happened to have a gun and he's a good guy. And he sees one person destroying, he has to use it. Mm-hmm. So that's the law in the United States. Freedom of expression is so powerful here that you can, even the people who have pronounced death on the president and so on, nobody has been prosecuted. But you know what? There is a difference between freedom of expression and you giving orders for certain things to be done. Because here's the thing: in this freedom that we enjoy, if you are going to be prosecuted, you are not going to be prosecuted for expressing your mind or your frustration. No. But if you are planning, organizing, giving orders and taking feedback, giving directives, and for criminal action to be carried out, forget about whatever you call political rights and my right for this thing. You are out of the goal. If you are like some of those people, you say they have taken their computers, they see in their computer how they tell the person who took away the Prince of Kugwe, they say, you have caught him, so take his neck, cut his neck, make sure you put it in a pole, take it for that junction, so go pin him for it. You will say that is freedom of speech? Or the people who gave the order when those people in Guzan were arrested, they have been taken, their computers were taken for months, and they were studying them to get all this evidence. If it is found, I'm not alleging that it was found. If it is found, the audio way was giving clear instructions to the person that make sure say that for them, you take them, go for that market square, you should go shoot them, make they see. Now you do that, then you come back and say, oh, it's Ambazonian struggle. Is that the struggle that you want the law to defend you for? So that is the line. We are making sure that the people can only exercise self-defense. Yes, we don't care. I know that some crazies in the political circles can go awry, can go out of their way to try to do something, but the last defense line we have is the law, the court of law. And as long as we are acting within the law, because we are not ordering crimes. I have not ordered any criminal action. There's nobody in my government who is ordering crimes to be committed, who is receiving money from Regina Mundi and coming out and saying in the this that I took her and we took the money. We took 80 million. My only regret is that I allowed her to go. Next time I will take the money and still kill her. You call that the Ambazonian struggle, that we are struggling, we want to be free. That's not freedom. That's not the struggle.
Mr. President, because of that, there is no doubt that the Cameroon government is pushing so hard to have the rhetoric and the narrative or the labeling of our movement as a terrorist movement, because that changes the trajectory. Meaning any sympathizer of a terrorist movement is viewed by the free world as a terrorist. Now, are you worried at any point?
I'm not worried.
These individuals reject themselves.
I'm not worried.
You're not worried.
It is as easy to deceive strangers than to deceive the owners of the house. You know, the owners of this struggle are on the ground. They are on the ground. They are living this war 24/7. Those are the owners of this struggle. You cannot deceive them. They know. They know the difference. They know who is fighting for them and who is not fighting for them. So they know it. But these people who are out here, who are not even your people, who are just your neighbors because you found yourself in a foreign country, you don't expect them to know. So those are the people that the Republic is trying to convince. But when you see a man, fire is burning in his house, he's instead going to the farm, that man has surrendered. Because the fire is burning in Ambazonia. The Republic is struggling to talk to convince international community that don't mind them. They are all criminal. They don't have any political cause. They are just criminal organizations. You can convince as many foreigners as you want to convince. The only thing you will remain with is a sore that will not be healed. That sore will kill you. So we are here to make sure that we counter such moves. That's what we do. And those people who don't see the need for diplomacy, they are all ignorant or saboteurs. Because we are here to counter those kind of moves. Because as far as the people on the ground are concerned, you are not confused. We don't do these things much to convince you, because you live it, you know. They know the difference. In some villages, you go there, they will tell you that those ones up there are criminals, they do for that side. Now this one, they're so that they will correct people. They know. They live it every day. They know who are fighting for them and who are not fighting for them. And so when the Republic is trying to make those maneuvers out there, tell you what, who is going to answer them? It's not General Plantain, it's not General Coconut, it's we here who have to make sure that the truth is known, and we insist on what is true, and make sure that the lies are exposed, and make sure that the international community will also hear our own version and know the truth and not lies. So the truth is that we are doing our best, and we will continue to do our best. They have not succeeded this far, because if they did, you and I will not even have a television. Yes. Yeah. If they succeeded, you and I will not have an organization. We cannot even meet on any day of the week. We cannot even do anything. Our course will be completely by now in the image of the AGF and the way they decided to reconstruct our course. We would have been completely abandoned and probably proscribed by now. But we have made sure that we drew the line at every stage. When things happen, we write press releases to make clear our position. Because in a social media revolution, there are many voices. And there's a lot of noise, but very few voices. So if the voices are silent, the noise will take over. We make sure that when all happens, all is done, everything should not be attributed to the government of the people of southern Cameroon. They should be able to hear clearly what the government says and where the government stands. Because that is the voice that matters. You don't tell me that Ambazonians have said that. In those days, 10 activists will go online, everybody will say his own, then at the end, anybody will go and pick any activist of his choice to say, Ambazonians have said that. Is that the kind of struggle? That's cacophony. There must be a voice that says, this is what Ambazonia says and this is where we stand. That's the voice of the government.
Amazing. Mr. President, we're going to get into the elections, but towards the tail end, and I'm keeping that purposefully because I know I would like to provoke you to tell the people of Ambazonia how you want them to enable or help you. We understand that that's the end of this month, probably or the upper next week. There's a strategic constituent assembly that's coming together. We also understand that you're going to be having a press conference just before you address the nation by the 30th. We understand that 2 weeks after that, there is going to be Cameroon's election. And Cameroon is actively in Ambazonia right now, doing everything to make sure that they can either intimidate or manipulate our people to participate. But before we get to that, the international community is watching you today very closely as the voice, the lone voice that has been diligent and responsible, facing legality to prosecute the struggle. But there is some confusion because the media and media manipulation, a lot of people are not aware of what is happening on the ground. So Onye has a few reports on some of the things Cameroon is currently doing on the ground right now and their proxies. Right after that, I would like you to say a word to that before we move into the elections bit of Cameroon. Stay tuned.
All right, let's head to Colonial, where French Cameroon's elite and its base fails to win trust in Ikome as Ambazonians reject deception. On Tuesday, September 16, 2025, the elite colonial force of French Cameroon, known as the base, conducted a controversial operation in the Ambazonian town of Ikome, located in the Atlantic zone. The base attempted to present themselves as a force for good, claiming to bring the local population closer to their governance. However, the people of Ambazonia are not easily deceived, and they recognize the underlying motives behind these actions. The incident has ignited further distrust between the inhabitants of Ikome and the base, as the community remains skeptical of the intentions of a force that has long been associated with oppression and violence. The people of Ambazonia continue to stand firm in their desire for autonomy and self-determination, aware that they cannot be fooled repeatedly by hollow gestures meant to disguise an oppressive agenda. La République du Cameroun elite and its force called the base have called out the people of Ikome in the Atlantic zone of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia for what they tag as image cleansing. In an unusual get-together in Ikome on Tuesday, September 16th, these dogs, like angels, were preaching peace. This is coming at a time that the colonial army have caused a lot of havoc in Ambazonia, ranging from the destruction of residences, schools, hospitals, not leaving out to getting the killings of innocent civilians. The people of Ambazonia know that La Republic of Cameroun and its agents are enemies to the progress and development of Ambazonia. And it is not by claiming falsehood that will change the narrative. If the colonial regime meant well for Ambazonia, it wouldn't be sustaining a military option to the war in Ambazonia and not a genuine dialogue. The way the season with Ikome was conducted says it all. In a spirit of domination, the inhabitants of Ikome were made to sit on the ground, sitting like slave masters. The colonial beast stood over them, dishing out the sermon. How pathetic. That action of theirs is not enough to clean their image in front of Ambazonians, in front of the world, with what they have done and what Ikome people have endured so far. How would the world see this, that in 2025, adults are made to sit on the ground? Oh well, highly sad. Another report this evening, the tragedy in Bamenda, 2 children drowned while dumping trash on the 17th of September 2025. A devastating incident occurred in Bamenda on Wednesday, September 17th, 2025, where 2 children lost their lives after being swept away by running water in a stream near the Government Teachers Training College, the GTTC. The children had ventured into the stream to dump trash, highlighting the dire need for proper waste management infrastructure in the city. Bamenda's waste management crisis is a long-standing issue, exacerbated by the city's rapid population growth and inadequate infrastructure. The lack of designated garbage dumping sites has led to residents, including children, taking matters into their own hands and dumping waste in streams and open spaces. This practice not only poses environmental hazards but also puts lives at risk. The incident underscores the urgent need for effective waste management solutions in Bamenda. Poor waste disposal has been linked to various health problems, including the spread of waterborne disease like cholera, typhoid, and diarrhea. Moreover, the environmental impact of improper waste disposal is significant, with polluants leaching into soil and water sources and decomposing waste, releasing harmful gases. The Colonial Bamenda City Council, responsible for the cleanliness of the city, has completely missed out on waste management. The challenges in waste management persist, including inadequate equipment, limited access to certain areas, and a lack of public awareness about proper waste disposal practices. The tragic loss of the 2 children serves as a wake-up call for colonial authorities and residents to prioritize waste management in Bamenda. Some potential solutions include providing more garbage bins and designated dumping sites that can help reduce the practice of dumping waste in streams and open spaces, enhancing the frequency and efficiency of waste collection. It can help keep streets and neighborhoods clean, and educating residents about the importance of proper waste disposal practices can help change behavior and promote a cleaner environment. As of the time of filing in this report, we observed that burial is taking place for Mallory Ndopo, who was 9 years old, one of the victims of the torrential rains in Bamenda 2 nights ago. Report also suggests that piles of rubbish disguised the gutter holes that led to the drowning of these 2 children. This is a very sad report, and so we ask that their souls would rest in peace. One of the challenges Ambazonians face on a regular basis is the issue of power. And so the solar-powered streetlight collapses a day after inauguration. This report states that Malfour Bridge solar-powered streetlight collapses hours after inauguration. Inaugurated on Wednesday and declared fit for use by La Republic of Cameroun Prime Minister Dr. Joseph Nwana Kuah, one of the poles on the bridge, was seen collapsing today, Thursday, September 18th, which is evidence of the use of substandard materials. A solar-powered street light on the newly inaugurated Malfour Bridge in Bamenda collapsed just hours after Colonial Prime Minister Dr. Joseph Nwana Kuah declared the project fit for use on Wednesday, September 17, 2025. The incident has triggered widespread concern over the quality of materials and construction standards used on the bridge. Many sees it as yet another example of infrastructure project being executed for applause, not for durability. Residents are now demanding answers. Was proper oversight followed? Were safety standards ignored in the rush to present a showpiece? The collapse has become a symbol of deeper problems, raising serious doubt about the integrity of the entire project. To date, colonial authorities have not issued any official statement regarding the incident, further fueling public suspicion and speculation. For many, this event confirms long-standing fears that such projects in Ambazonia are little more than election propaganda schemes, flashy displays meant to win favor rather than delivery lasting value. The collapse of the Malfour Bridge streetlight serves as a wake-up call to the few Ambazonians still holding out hope that something good can come from La Republic to Cameroun. For many, it is yet more proof that what is presented as development is often just a decay in disguise.
We'll be back with you on here. Mr. President, that is the groundwork Cameroun is placing there. We'll get into Nwana Kuah's visit, but as Bamenda, that senior house slave Nwana Kuah visited, I guess just yesterday, inaugurate what they are planning for ahead of elections. You've heard what is happening there from a corner into Bamenda, where an abandoned city would lead to the life of young people being lost, and now to an inaugurated solar system that falls down a few hours after its inauguration. And this is how Cameroun is scheming to deceive the world that they are in charge, controlling and enabling the people. Please talk to us.
I don't know how many times you have to fool the people before you know that you cannot fool them again. So there is a point where you fool people, and you should understand that they have known that you are a deceiver. And from that point going forward, if you continue to fool the people, you become the fool. You become the laughing stock. So this is what I grew up to know, that anytime there's election, we used to call it Vaseline. They will go and take some caterpillars that we don't know where they come from. They just emerge like from the sky, from nowhere. Then they will come and grade the road. They will be clapping our hands. And then if that road, they will grade it, take, brown earth. They will grade the brown earth, grade it from here to everywhere, and they say road. When you see that, even if you do not know the calendar, you know that elections are near. They will grade it, and then if possible, they can take some Vaseline and rub on the road. You know, they have a certain layer of tar that we used to call it Vaseline. They will go and take Vaseline and rub it, just spray it on the road, just water it on the road. The thing will be looking like between black and brown. Then they go and say, yay, we don't get road. Then you will never see them again till 5 years. That I grew up like that. I saw that Ikona, that's Ikona I saw there on the this thing. I grew up in Ikona. I was selling in the Ikona market. Everywhere in Ikona is poto, is mud. Everywhere in Ikona. From my own growing up in the 70s, that I was born, I was growing up. I only knew Ikona as poto, black poto. That you know the volcanic soil all over the place. Even if you see grass anywhere, if you go in there, it's mud. So those people were not sitting on the grass. They were not sitting on the earth. They were sitting on mud. And I see the way I saw the picture, it's after rain. So really, they were sitting on the mud and then getting lectures from a man who carried a gun, who speaks in French or some half English. And they say they want to buy them. That's nonsense. We have proven beyond reasonable doubt that we understand this problem. We have been deceived. If you are deceived once, and you are deceived once, it's a mistake. If you are deceived twice, then you are the fool, not the person who is deceiving you. So everything they are doing now is something deja. We have seen it until we are tired. Nothing has changed. Any town that you were born in, that you grew up, no matter what age you are, go there. Tell me what difference has happened. Nothing. Nothing. I was in the University of Calabar. I only visited Calabar 15 years after I graduated. I'm not saying that Nigeria has arrived. They have their own problems. But you know what? I was passing around where the house where I lived in Rock near Etago. Etago is the street where the university is. I was looking everywhere, saying, is this the place? I don't know whether the taxi has just missed the way. Everything was completely transformed. That's the people. But go, you who were born anywhere in Ambazonia, it has been 15 or 20 years. Go there and tell me what has changed. Nothing. Zero. So these people will come again and say, okay, now we're going to bring some caterpillar and throw some mud here and then do something here so that you can come and vote again. So I wanted to just say this thing to tell you that the people are not deceived. The fact that they don't have the power to say no when you tell them to sit on the mud, the fact that they don't have the power to respond to you because you have the microphone and a man with a gun by your side does not mean that you are fooling them. Those people have been fooled so much that they don't even need to answer you again. They will only wait and tell you on the last day that you wasted your time. The CPDM, the BR regime, is not trying to get people to vote them because they don't really vie for votes. They just want to create a semblance of legitimacy for the lies they have already cooked because they already have their results in their hands. They are struggling to control the aftermath of their false declaration. So they want to either intimidate the people to tell them that you know, whether you vote or you don't vote, our man will win. Then when you win, if you make king, this is what we are going to do to you. That is what is normally done. And then the people, they are struggling to give them one thing or the other. They are always saying that, please, when we do like this, when we go and declare our results, please don't be among those people who are going to be against us. That's what the CPDM and the people are doing now. They are not vying for votes because they don't win by votes. They have never won any election by vote. No. If it is by vote, it was not free. If it has never been by vote. They determine the results and then they make sure that on the day before they announce the results, tanks are all over the place. Gendarmes and bees are there to shoot on sight, kill anyone. They raid everywhere. They think that some opponents, some dissidents might be gathered there. Make sure that all of them are secured and for some put in house arrest. Do all that, then announce their results. Say, hooray, we have won. That's what they are planning to do. That's what John Guti is trying to do right now. The Ambazonians cannot be fooled. They can take that to the Republic and continue to fool them because they are fools. Because they have been fooled. A fool is one that you are fool and fool and fool. And even when you come and say, now I want to fool you, come out. The person still come out that I will fool. Come, I'm coming, so fool me. Come fool me. Then that makes you a fool. The Republic people are fools because they have not done anything to show any rejection of this foolery. We have proven ourselves that we are not fools. That's why we're fighting. That's why we're resisting. That's why we have said no. Anything that we do there is theater. La Republic are the fool. Go and fool them because they are really expecting you to come and fool them because they enjoy the foolery. They live in it. They enjoy it. They like it. And they, in fact, on that day when they tell them that the picture president has won, and there is nobody to even receive, even to give the acceptance speech. I'm sure there will be nobody. They will put a picture there. Then somebody will come and say, by the high instructions of the head of state, I've just come to tell you that he has accepted. You have voted, and then they'll put a big picture there of the man, bigger than life, to say he has just accepted that he has agreed to be your president. And the people will clap. Those people will come out and clap. Those are the people you should go and fool them, not us. Our people are smart. Even when they are silent, they are not idle. They know the answer.
Mr. President, sometimes it's like it is a spare. But we're going to talk about what you hope to do in conclusion, or what you advise Ambazonians to do in conclusion. Let's find out what Cameroon CPDM loyalists and government officials like Nalova and the PM John Guti, you're just talking respectively. Onye has something there. These two are doing something currently, and that's what all CPDM loyalists are doing. I think we should look at that, and we'll be back for you to conclude this segment.
All right, I'm moving into Sako. This report says that Sako elite Nalova Liyonga uses children as campaign props to endorse French Cameroon's regime. The French Cameroon's government's back-to-school caravan has escalated into a case study of political betrayal, with Colonial Minister of Secondary Education Professor Nalova Liyonga, an Ambazonian originally from Sako, leveraging her identity to serve the very regime, inflicting pain on her community. Under the guise of aid, Liyonga's visit to the Atlantic Zone saw the distribution of notebooks explicitly promoting 92-year-old President Paul Biya, branded with highly partisan message that says Paul Biya is a choice of Sako division. How possible? Well, critics are strongly condemning the Colonial Secondary Education Minister, stating that her deployment into Sako was merely an act of political opportunism. They have highly criticized this move by Nalova, an Ambazonian elite, to endorse the French Cameroon's government. Being a native of the Atlantic Zone, she is now viewed by many as having consciously chosen to prioritize her political position with the ruling CPDM over the profound suffering of her own people. While French Cameroon's caravan claims to have delivered basic necessities including school kits and financial support, the inherent political message fundamentally corrupted the intent. The inclusion of propaganda material, especially and specifically the notebooks bearing President Paul Biya's image and the inflammatory political slogan, confirms the transactional nature of the aid. Thus, this is widely viewed as manipulation and not support. Minister Liyonga's instruction to students to uphold dignity and integrity and her call for the community to cooperate for a secure school environment are rendered hollow. Critics argue that as an English-speaking minister, her most critical duty is to address the insecurity and marginalization that is actively destroying the educational sector of over 700 children in Ambazonia. Unfortunately, Leonga has turned a blind eye to the pleas of millions of Ambazonians and effectively used the zone's children as shields and political tools. Alright, let's head to Bamenda, where the visit by French Cameroon's Prime Minister to Bamenda is sparking so much suspicion of election manipulation. Yesterday, Wednesday, September 18, 2025, Senior House Slave Dion Ngute, the Prime Minister of French Cameroon, sneaked into Bamenda, the principal town of the Midland Zone of the self-declared Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Now, this visit, officially framed as an initiative to address the deteriorating conditions of the city's road, raises significant questions about its underlying motives. Many observers interpreted the visit as a strategic move to bolster the legitimacy of the upcoming October 12 colonial election, which are widely perceived as illegitimate by the Ambazonian leadership and its citizenry. It is important to always acknowledge that the current political landscape in Ambazonia is marked by a long-standing struggle for independence and a rejection of French Cameroon's governance. Ngute's visit is seen not just as an attempt to improve infrastructure, an essential aspect of any government's responsibility, but also as a maneuver to distract from the ongoing tensions and widespread disconnect in Ambazonia. By presenting himself as a problem solver, it was perceived that Ngute aimed to curtail dissent and misinterpret the prevailing sentiments among the Ambazonian people. Furthermore, the visit served as a mechanism by the colonial administration to further enrich the electoral fraud that critics allege the October elections will embody. This strategic ploy reflects a broader pattern of manipulation by the colonial government to exert control over the southern Cameroon, seeking autonomy, ultimately undermining the aspiration of the Ambazonian populace. While the visit made out infrastructural improvement, we now realize that its real purpose was to strengthen the fraudulent electoral process and project a facade of goodwill in the abandoned city of Bamenda, fraught with conflict and aspiration of self-determination. The La République du Cameroun Prime Minister is visiting Bamenda under the guise of addressing the city's poor road conditions. However, the real intention behind this visit is allegedly to further the government's electoral interest in the outlawed October 12 election. The roads in the city of Bamenda are highly dilapidated and worse than farm-to-market roads. Denizens of the city of Ambazonia and Bamenda in general have received countless promises from colonial authorities over years on the imminent commencement of works on the Bamenda urban bypass roads. But yet, nothing has been done. Yesterday, Wednesday, September 17th, is almost the third of the Colonial PM's visit to Bamenda on city roads rehabilitation. In the guise of laying the foundation stone for the construction of Bamenda city roads, the real reason is to further the colonial regime's interest in the October 12th outlawed presidential elections. The October 12th elections have been deemed illegitimate by the Ambazonian government, who have called for a boycott. The colonial government's effort to stage elections in Ambazonia has been met with resistance, and the colonial prime minister's visit to Bamenda may be seen as an attempt to legitimize the electoral process. We also got information that the road linking to the town of the prime minister is as terrible as you can think of. One would ask, shouldn't charity begin at home? But here you have the particular route, and then there is promise for Ambazonians. Well, Ambazonians know better.
Indeed, Ambazonians know better. So this time, Dion Ngute sneaked. I remember one of the times he visited Bamenda. After he was welcomed with guns, he had to confess that he is truly an Ambazonian, purporting himself as a Cameroon's prime minister. Mr. President, that's the gimmick of Cameroon. I'd like you to talk on that before you take the last question, or one of the last questions on this election. Why, looking at all of this, you see the desperation of Cameroon to ensure that elections will take place in Bamenda. And I'm asking you, why do you really think Cameroon is desperately, even when they understand that the people are disinclined to this election, why do you think that Cameroon government is desperately seeking to have this election in Ambazonia? Even when bullets were flying in the air, they just want an election to take place in Ambazonia. What's the implication to that?
It's a show, because I say they are not they are not looking for votes, because they don't need votes to win. So it's a show. They have to make a show that will give them some kind of legitimacy. Tomorrow they will say all the parties is only the prime minister went there, the colonial prime minister went there, and the CPDM won because he went there to campaign. Now, this is no campaign. It's a show for the optics. They make sure that half of the people you see there are soldiers in mufti, and the other half are in the bushes. They slept there since yesterday, to make sure that they secure a small perimeter where you can walk through, you can drive through and come there and make a statement, and then himself putting on wearing a life jacket, a bulletproof jacket inside, under his coat, and say everybody armed and praying that as soon as the cameras are done and the photos are done, they should leave that place immediately. And you go and find out they'll be running to make sure that nothing happened. For the first gun with sound, they should be completely gone left. They should have left the place. That is not a campaign. That's a show. And when they go back to Yaoundé, they give testimonies. They say it was wonderful. I was there for 45 minutes. I was there. Then they will give high five to the police, to the gendarme, and the bees that were running around and that were sleeping in the bush, give them money and so on. That's not a campaign. In a campaign, you are trying to win the people. You don't do photo op. So this is a game that they play always because they want to project, not to actually do anything. They just want to project something for something. So that's why I said that they are not deceiving us. Because as I said, we are going to make sure that Ambazonia does not take part in that election. Because Ambazonians have decided that they will not take part. So we collectively, we are going to ensure that there is no election in the southern Cameroon. But I also want that, even though we will say that, there will still be numbers. These people are already cooking their numbers right now. They don't have to have election to have numbers. They are already putting their numbers together. And you will hear some fantastic numbers that they are going to put out there. You want to pull the hair off your head. You say, how did this happen? They will tell you this was 50,000, put it here, and then 30,000. But you say, where are these thousands from? That's what they will do. But what we want to do is that they should continue to lie to themselves. Nobody should believe them, because you cannot lie to the person who is wearing the shoes. So they can, when they lie those lies, Ambazonians should sit somewhere, be popping their popcorn and laugh to scorn, because they know it's a lie. And the international observers should be able to see through the screen and know that these are their lies, their hope. They should see that clear. That's what we are going to achieve. We are making sure that on October the 2nd, from October the 2nd, a day after we celebrate our Independence Day, till the 14th of October, Ambazonia is totally locked down. Totally. That's the one they used to call in those days Mamiwata lockdown. This has nothing to do with children going to school or not going to school. This has nothing to do with anybody moving or doing this thing. This has to do with a surgical disruption of the Republic's agenda to promote election in our country, to move around, to take their people around, to carry on any campaigns that have been outlawed in Ambazonia, or to even go on that day to find a place to vote, to make sure that we lock it down completely. So anybody who is walking on the street is somebody who is just against the will of and the freedom of the people of Ambazonia. I did not want to come out in person to say anything against the lockdowns that were imposed by certain elements who mean good for the struggle, right? Who just wanted to do something, but who did not give it a serious thought. So let me say this, that there are two types of weapons. There are weapons that when we shoot them, the enemy dies. There are weapons that if we use them, anytime we use them, the enemy dies and we also suffer. We must be able to identify those weapons. If you have mosquitoes in your house and you have a machine gun is a weapon. It can kill anything. Machine gun can also kill a mosquito. But if you use your machine gun anytime you hear mosquitoes around, you use a machine gun, guess what will happen to your home? That home will be destroyed. Systematically, the home will be destroyed. This is because this is a weapon that even though you will succeed in your mission, it is going to afflict pain to you, to your home. And some people in the diaspora don't understand these things. They don't listen. They think that it is all about them. They own it. They own something. So they have to dish it out to the people because that's what owners do. Owners don't negotiate with people. They own it. Masters don't talk and ask anybody because they own it. But as the servant leadership of this government that we have, we listen to the people. We listen to the people because I know that the weapon of Ghost Town is a two-edged sword. Anytime we're using it, we are achieving a goal. At the same time, we are afflicting the people. So it should be something that the people can bear because the good should be more than the pain. That means what we want to achieve should be more than the pain. And so that the people can buy in and do it as part of their contribution to ensure that we are free. Anything that becomes an imposition is no more part of the struggle. We have to make sure that we carry the people along so that because there are no amount of Ambazonian soldiers who have all over Ambazonia to make sure that everybody locks down. There has to be a buy-in from the people to decide that this is the right thing to do, we are going to do it. If you claim that you have ownership, are you sure? Can you gendarmes or who will not have gendarmes? How many soldiers or Ambazonian soldiers do you need to police 7 million people? To police 7 million people. I think I'm frozen there. I don't know what's going on.
No, you're okay, Mr. President. I can hear you. Mr. President, you're okay.
Hello?
Yes, Mr. President, I can hear you. Okay, we're having some challenges there. I'll be connecting with the president because the conclusion of this program at this time is quite important. I would have to reconnect with the president so that he can give this conclusion. I can see a lot of you put in some of your comments. I want to really thank you for doing that. I'll try to see if I'm going to consult with him now, if he will permit us to take some of your comments and probably 1 or 2 calls, because I understand that he's out of his base for a mission. So if he's available for us to exceed these 2 hours, then we'll take some of your comments and some questions. If not, I would like us to okay, let's hear Dr. Mungwa and we'll be right back.
This is the voice of Ambazonia. Truth in resistance, clarity in crisis. Today is Friday, September 12, 2025. Today's editorial is titled Cameroon's eternal youth, when 92 is the new 22. In Biya's Cameroon, words have lost their meaning. Nowhere is this clearer than in the regime's abuse of the word youth. Across the world, youth is simple. The United Nations says 15 to 24. The African Union says 15 to 35. The World Health Organization agrees youth ends well before middle age. But in Cameroon, under Biya, youth has become a label slapped on anyone the colonial regime wants to recycle. Even men in their 60s, 70s, and yes, even their 80s. It would be laughable if it were not so tragic. Jacques Famendongo, Colonial Minister of Higher Education, is in his late 70s and still calls himself a champion of youth, while students face beatings and broken classrooms. Oben Peter Ashu, a loyal colonial CBD baron, attended colonial youth congresses in his 60s, hailed as part of the younger generation. Nchime Avuna, long past retirement, sat comfortably on colonial panels about youth and leadership. Even the colonial CPDM's so-called youth wing has been led for decades by men in their 50s and 60s. Recycled faces pretending to be the future. The absurdity has reached its peak. Philemon Yang, nearly 80, is paraded as a youthful option to represent Ambazonians in the next colonial government. He stands shoulder to shoulder with Paul Biya himself, 92 years old, and yet another septuagenarian youth. When 92 becomes the face of youth, what chance do genuine young people have? Defenders of the regime claim Cameroon uses youth in a cultural sense, meaning those not yet at the very top of leadership. They argue that experience plus youthful spirit can still serve the nation. But this collapses when 92-year-olds are paraded as the future. Experience without renewal is not leadership, it is stagnation dressed up as succession. And all of this is part of a broader French strategy embedded in Biya's doctrine of communal liberalism, an ideology designed not for unity, but to stifle dissent. By stretching definitions, blurring language, and promoting docility, the colonial population is kept weary, confused, and obedient. The abuse of youth is just one more way of denying Cameroonians their rightful turn at leadership. This is not clumsiness, it is a weapon. By calling old men youth, the colonial regime blocks real generational change. Young Cameroonians in their 20s and 30s are told to wait their turn, but their turn never comes. The result is endless recycling of colonial cronies. Loyalty is rewarded, renewal is a lie, hope becomes a mirage. Leadership is trapped in a grotesque cycle of eternal adolescence. And the damage is deep. If an 80-year-old can be called youth, then time itself loses meaning. The future is always postponed. Leadership is permanently deferred. Citizens are conditioned to accept stagnation as destiny. The manipulation fits a wider pattern. Colonial dialogues that resolve nothing. Colonial decentralization that never devolves power. Promises of colonial national unity that deepen division. In Cameroon, words do not build, they suffocate. The cost is visible. Brain drain as talented youth flee abroad in search of futures denied at home. Disillusionment as those who remain discover that merit means nothing, while loyalty to the colonial clique means everything. Frozen politics with the same slogans, the same failures, the same old men recycled decade after decade under the mask of youth. Dr. Samuel Ikome Sako, President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia in exile, has said it clearly. This is not just a Cameroonian problem. It is the legacy of Charles de Gaulle's imperial presidency, exported to Francophone Africa at independence. That model of colonial presidential monarchy and eternal father figures became the cornerstone of France-Afrique. Strong men, propped up by Paris, ruled indefinitely while real renewal was crushed. But today, the seams of France-Afrique are cracking. From the Sahel to Central Africa, peoples are rising against the system of control. For Dr. Sako, a free Ambazonia must reject this inheritance. It must dismantle Biya's colonial communal liberalism, break the chains of France-Afrique, and build a political order rooted in federalism, renewal, and true democracy. It means restoring words to their true meaning, youth to the young, leadership to the capable, sovereignty to the people. A 92-year-old cannot be the future. A 70-year-old cannot be the face of youth. And a government that insists otherwise claim to be honest with its people. Behind the joke lies a strategy. Behind a strategy lies the theft of an entire generation's future. This has been today's editorial. This is the voice of Ambazonia, truth in resistance, clarity in crisis.
Thank you for being patient, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ambazonians. We're bringing the president again to talk to us in conclusion, some two aspects. But first, again, to conclude on the election, Cameroon's election beat. Mr. President, I believe you can actually hear me now. I want to ask, before we had the technical interruption there, you were actually painting the picture of your desire to ensure that by some enforcement, collaboration between you, the civilian population at the home front, and the Ambazonian State Army to ensure that Cameroon by no means will have their election in Ambazonia. And this is my question to you, Mr. President. My question is, how good is it for Ambazonia? How good would it be for Ambazonia if no election takes place? And how bad will it be for La République du Cameroun if no election takes place? I understand that Cameroon is trying to make the world understand that normalcy has returned. So how good is it for Ambazonia? And how bad is it for La République du Cameroun? Talk to us, Mr.
Yeah, this is, as I said, La République is playing a trying to win, score anything. They are just trying to play a game because they want the world to believe that they are there, they are in control when they're in control of nothing. They want the world to believe that there is election when there is no election anywhere in Cameroon. There is selection. So that is why we don't want to allow them to play the game. And because they are in for a game, they can play anything. They can even play with arms. For example, because they are there to score some political points. They are there to impress the international community, not them. They know that they have impressed nobody. So this is what they will do. Since they cannot score any political goal to score points in Ambazonia, they will use it to score points otherwise. They will organize the killings of people. They will organize the slaughter of people because, look at it, they said the campaign will last for 2 weeks before election. Who does that? In which country? That is just a moment they have defined to identify their political targets and go after them and cause maximum chaos. Then when by the day of the election, the army will come out everywhere in justification and then intimidate everybody, and then they go and make their results. That's just what they are looking for. So we know that it's a window of chaos that they have opened. So we are making sure that we are going to lock down. Because we don't want our people to be caught in crossfire. We don't want our people to be used as political pawns. We don't want them to be used for their games, for their very wild games that they are going to play. Kill people here and there. If at all that will turn the people against Amazonia, they will want to slaughter people who go out and shoot anyhow. They don't have value for human beings. They only pursue their own political goal of maintaining themselves in power at all costs. So Ambazonia should be locked down. There will be a lot of bloodshed. There will be a lot of bloodshed because they are not allowing that campaign willingly. It is not a campaign. It will be a show of intimidation that will begin at that point. There are people, they will tell them that they will never, you hear them making decrees saying that everybody, if you are not of CPD in this village, you should leave. You are hearing that now. The so-called campaign has not started. right? You are hearing them saying that we have promised our people 100%. Anybody who comes there is a stranger. Anybody who wants to say any other thing, no candidate is allowed in my place. You hear things like that all over the social media. That's no joke. It's a window of violence. We don't want to be caught up in the violence of something we did not organize and which is of no value to us. We are going to lock down to make sure that that happens elsewhere, not here. If they choose to go after political leaders to kill them, to target them, we are not going to be involved because we are not part of the politicking. If they are going to go after some people to kill them to show that it is this one who killed them, it is this other one who killed them, we are not going to be caught up because we are not part of it. If they are looking for pictures to legitimize the lies they have already prepared to announce after the 12th of October, Ambazonia is not their election, we are not going to be part. So that's why we are going to lock down. When we are locking down, even for the 2 weeks I'm talking about, it's a painful thing. But I want to bring this to the people of Ambazonia. I said, this is the kind of lockdown you will do, not because they told you to do it, but because it serves the purpose. It's painful, but that's the kind of pain that you can absorb because of the greater good that you want to achieve. Not people, when I heard about the lockdown that is mentioning schools going back, I said, these are people who are trying to ignorantly or whatever, trying to take us back. Yeah. We have passed the argument for schools. School is not our weapon. We are not using the schools as a weapon to fight this war. Since 2019, when I made the statement clearly, 2019, I said our position right now is this, that the decision is in the hands of the parents. And let me say it again. If any child is not going to school, it's because the parents and the teachers have made the determination that the place is not secured for children to go to school. It's not because the Ambazonian government said no school. No, that's not our position. So we are not responsible for the violence because the person who attacks Ambazonia is responsible for the violence, and the people who are defending themselves are supposed to defend themselves. And if that creates an environment where the parents think that their children and the teachers think that the schools are not secure enough, no child goes to school. It's not because Ambazonia has decreed. That's not the fight we fight. And if Tanganji will go around and go and kill some children anywhere, saying that they are enforcing school lockdown, nobody would think that Ambazonian government is the one who has decreed that, therefore is the one enforcing the law against the children. Some people are don't just think through. They think, but they don't think through. When you make such pronouncement that people should not go to school because you are banning, you really? Now, if Atanganji sends his boys to any school because they don't have value for us, we are nothing. Yeah. We are not humans. They can send their boys, their so-called vigilantes, and say, go and kill me 5 like they killed in St. Teresa. And they kill them. And then there's international uproar everywhere. Ambazonia have started killing more children now. How can you deny that you did not enforce the law if you made the law? How can you make the law and deny that you did not enforce it?
And not enforce it.
How can you make a law if you are not willing to enforce it? Or how can you deny that you did not enforce it, even if criminals enforced it? So and then what is the goal? What is the goal? If all do not go to school right now, is that the argument that will help us? No, that argument does not help us. But if the Republic does not hold elections in Ambazonia, is it not something more reasonable that we are really asserting our separateness, our legitimate, our control over our destiny? We are not subject to the laws of Ambazonia, of La Republique, or to the events and the elections and the whatever is decreed from Yaoundé. We don't listen to Yaoundé, for we are not subjects of Yaoundé. We are not subjects to the Republic of Cameroon. We are our own people. We have restored our government. Is that not because these elections have been ordered by the government to what of La Republique, the Colonial Gov't, to show that they still have legitimacy. Our people are participating in their process, thereby legitimizing their authority over them. And we are saying no, and that's the reason for the fight. So that's why I'm calling on all fighters, defenders, and civil society, and civilians and children, everybody, stay indoors. Rather, do whatever you can do now, because there will be no weekend. And I will dare decree that there will be not even church services. Pray at home. Pray at home. Not even mosques on Friday. Pray at home. Because we will not allow some political churches to go and hold elections, to go and use their premises to go and gather people there and begin to stuff ballot boxes. Or these proscribed politicians who were looking for campaign pulpits and they cannot find, and you go and use the pulpit of their choice and begin to pass out their campaign materials, just because they know that on ordinary days they cannot be able to campaign at all. We are not going to allow any part of our territory to be used for political theater. We are begging all the clergies and everybody, this is not a fight against you. This is to align ourselves with the will of the people. The will of the people is the will of God. For whatsoever you agree on earth shall be agreed in heaven. So when you are going against the will of the people, it's because of God. Even you are going against authority, and all authority is of God. This is the will of the people. We will not be enslaved by La Republique, and they are saying no. And then you want to go out there. No. If you pray at home, God will listen to you. For that one Sunday you pray, God will listen to you. The rest of the week, continue to pray. Because if we don't win this battle, you will permanently lose the power to pray. You will permanently lose the right to pray, because without freedom, even the gospel will not spread. So I'm calling on all of us for the sake of that freedom, observe that lockdown, stay indoors, and let us watch La Republique theater through the keyhole. And let them do whatever they want to do. The shame is on them. It is theirs to explain, not you. We are not part of them. We are not under their authority, so we don't follow their orders. We don't follow their laws. We don't vote in their elections. So that's one thing I wanted to emphasize there. And tomorrow, Saturday, Ndian and Boyo. These are two counties that are dear in my heart. Boyo was matter of fact, the beginning of the technology that we have, that communities are using to defend themselves, was originated in Boyo. Ndian is the breadbasket of Amazonia. I don't care the political confusion that has befallen us, which is characteristic of every revolution, fragmentation and even betrayals that have happened. The one thing is sure, Ndian is too important for us to leave behind. For that reason, I will be presiding over the draft myself on Saturday. I'm calling on all of you to come. I'm doing it for Ndian, I'm doing it for Boyo. Let us be there. Let us make sure that no county is left behind. If I don't make another audio, remember what I'm telling you right now. Saturday, it is 8 p.m. Ambazonia time. This Saturday, the 20th of September, let us come and draft for Ndian. Let us draft for Boyo. You hear some of the recent actions that are happening in Boyo. What do you think? What do you think? Even the dry bones shall rise again. They have shown us beyond reasonable doubt that we can count on them. And if there's anyone who wants to make sure that you give support to where support is due, then you have to do something. Do so, because they have shown that they are not there to kill civilians. They are not maiming and kidnapping people. They are there targeting the enemy, who is killing their people, killing their mother, their parents, and raping their women, burning their homes and villages. They are doing the right thing. If you are supporting them, you are supporting them to do the right thing. They should not allow the enemy to kill them in the name of democracy. So I want to call all of us, share this information. Make sure that you send your help. I will make sure that the help goes to the people who deserve it, who have shown us beyond reasonable doubt that even 7 years after, they are still fighting the real fight.
Amazing, Mr. President. I want to thank you in spite of the difficulties you're facing at your current in the studios there. You would still make sure that you can communicate to Ambazonians the way you would have done this evening. As you give us a goodbye for tonight's show, you will be hosting members of government that have been nominated or selected or chosen by their constituencies towards the end of this month. And you intend to carry them right into the 30th of September, which is a very significant day. I also understand that on that same day, 30th, you're having an international press conference. Just an if to the day you are addressing the nation. You want to talk to the people of Ambazonia, what is this assembly all about? Very briefly, what you intend to achieve and what Ambazonians should anticipate at the end of this month as they celebrate their independence on the 1st of October. That will be in conclusion with your final statement.
Please
don't tell Ambazonians how to participate.
Yes, Ambazonians do everything to participate in this Ambazonia Stakeholder Strategic Assembly that is taking place in the month of September, the 27th to the 30th of September. You can participate in diverse ways. You may not be amongst the delegates that are selected, vetted, and approved to attend, but you may just need to make your participation by making a contribution for this and support. Though for those who can pray, you can also pray. None can deny that we are at a very turning point in our struggle right now. There is going to be a paradigm shift after this moment, and from this moment going forward. We're entering a new phase in our struggle where some things we were hoping for are becoming more and more inevitable. Yes, I mean the dialogue, the meaningful dialogue and negotiation that is becoming more and more inevitable. If you doubt me, ask everybody who is a candidate of their fake selection process, who is not Paul Biya. They will tell you the same thing. Even the naysayers among them are saying the same thing. So they are not just trying to win an election because they know they will not win, but they are just confessing the truth. And that is the general spirit. And when you go to the international community, there's an air of compulsion right now that speaks to the things that need to be done. Because they have moved from accepting that we are right to the point where they are saying, how long? How long before a process is engaged for a permanent resolution of this conflict? And right now, that is the era we are entering into. For us to navigate this moment very well, and any time we get to such a turning point in this struggle, it's a time that we have to bring the best of the stakeholders and the pillars, those who still hold the house, not people who say, let it chakara, make it go, we have to throw it, don't too much, make chakara. The pillars have to come together for us to define, to go to certain details, for us to define this moment and define the course that we have to take, the way forward. Within ourselves as a structure, as a movement, because we are entering a new phase. For those who make it to this conference in person, you will hear certain things, certain steps that we need to take because we have entered a turning point in our struggle. So after that, I will address the nation on the 30th. And a lot of things are going to change. There will be a repositioning. There will be a new sense of direction and a preparation that begins to enter this new phase of our struggle. So for those of you who hear that you need to have drafted in the local government and county, we understand that because of the disorder that obtained, some people deliberately made a decision to draft here and not here, draft here and not there. And some people, probably because of the financial situation, did not reach certain goals in terms of their giving. But for us, as a movement, the primary criteria rotates around loyalty. Yeah, your sacrifice notwithstanding. If you cease to believe in the cause or in what we put together that is piloting this revolution, then you are no more part of the collective. You are not a pillar of the house. You single yourself out. You are not one of those who's carrying the house that the house is resting on to stand. And when the pillars are having a conversation, you may not be there. You don't have to be there. But if you are a pillar, and for one reason or the other, or when all criteria put together, you are found to be one thing or the other. But when it comes to loyalty and dedication, you are there. This is for you. Because it is only those who are invested that should decide. I cannot invest my life, all my time, the little I have, and other person comes to decide how I should go, which way or that way. When pillars are involved in the house, pillars have to be ones to sit, and pillars have to be ones to decide. If you are FGA executive, county executive, a member of the government at any level, it is not going to be qualification by identity, the qualification by loyalty to not just the cause, because everybody, including the traitors, they say that they are loyal to Ambazonia. But Ambazonia is too large. Ambazonia as a story is too large. Where is the vehicle that you are in to take you to Ambazonia? That vehicle is this government. If you are not loyal to this government, you are no longer a pillar. So you are not welcome. Because as I said, we are not going to DC to fight. We are not going to DC to insult each other. We are not going to DC to grandstand. That's what enemies do when they meet together. The loyalists don't do that. They debate seriously on ideas. They disagree in content. And then they agree when it is necessary. And they build, not destroy. And when the good is achieved, they rejoice. They don't feel disappointed. That is what is going to happen in DC. It will be intense. It will be for Ambazonia. It will not be for any individual. So God bless you if you can make it. For those who will be registering to attend virtually, it's going to be high-tech. Nobody will just enter the meeting. It will not be the regular Zoom that you know, but highly vetted portal that you're going to use so that just by logging we identify you. If not, you will not even have that login if you were not registered and approved to be in the meeting. Because there are certain things that we will discuss that are only good for the ears that are invested in the struggle. So thank you very much, and share this message. The fight continues until we get to Buea. We are still here. God bless you.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ambazonians, thank you very much, Mr. President. You are listening to the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia that has been with us for over 2 hours in spite of the difficulties he had to connect with our studios earlier on. The President has spent some time to explain categorically and clearly to the world Ambazonia's historical and legal bearings in the liberation movement. The President has elaborately told the world our stance. Cameroon's elections must not take place in Ambazonia. And the President has given to us the significance of this extraordinary meeting of accredited members of government, constituent. When you hear of a constituent assembly, constituent representative, legal representative, a constituent assembly, as once explained by Molanjo Letumbe, has the legitimacy to change the course of a movement. And that is what we're looking forward to. If you desire to participate and you think that you have contributions to make, you may seek to consult with your government. You may seek to consult with your local government or county. You may also seek to consult with your county chairs. Any information that you require will be given to you. And like the person has said, you can participate in many different ways. You can also participate financially. Make sure you get registered ahead of time, because if you do not register, it's not a Zoom link where you're going to come with fake account to you'll be identified. And you'll be obliged to be seen. You're not going to steal the Zoom link, connect, and put it on a speaker for one base to be little. I know a group of people who are good in that. No, there will be no third party. Every participant will be on a video. If you are not proud enough for the comrades there to see you on video, then you are not competent enough to participate. Until next time, it's been Tapari King. Bye-bye.
From 1954 to 1961.
History has not forgotten that Buea was the headquarters of West Cameroon. History has not forgotten that Buea was the capital of Southern Cameroon.
Southern Cameroon was an autonomous country with its own government, headed by a prime minister with capital in Buea. Southern Cameroon had its own parliament with the House of Chiefs. Southern Cameroon had its own airlines. Southern Cameroon had its own power station in Yoke. Southern Cameroon had its own police force. Southern Cameroon had its own seaport in Victoria. Southern Cameroon had its own currency, the pound sterling. Unfortunately, our colonial masters, the British, convinced the United Nations for Southern Cameroons to attain independence by joining La République du Cameroun via a 1961 plebiscite. With a federal constitution, Article 47 prohibited the changing of the form of the Federal Republic. But La République du Cameroun changed the constitution through a 1972 fraudulent referendum of yes.
La République du Cameroun attained its independence on January 1, 1960 without Southern Cameroon. Southern Cameroon's attained its independence on October 1, 1961. Republic. Our ancestor Mola Jolly Tombe reminded us that there is no union treaty between Southern Cameroons and La République du Cameroun. We request the United Nations to organize another referendum to ask us whether we want to stay in this union or not. Show us the union treaty. As Mola Jolly Tombe reminded us, Chumba no be married.
La République du Cameroun has taken advantage of us. They have destroyed our economy. They robbed us of our resources. They robbed us of our basic humanity. On November 30, 2017, Paul Biya declared a war on us. They murdered over 60,000 of our grandparents, our brothers, our sisters, and our children. They burned down over 200 of our villages. What did we do to deserve this?